Hello everyone, and welcome back for another monthly development update for the upcoming first-person dark fantasy RPG, Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon. As many of you are already aware by now, Awaken Realms has sponsored a series of monthly development update videos where I basically show off each month's development progress for this game. This game is currently aiming at a Q2 2025 release. Got a lot of cool things to go over and show you all today, but a quick FYI, if you're interested in participating in early access, during the Steam Winter Sale, which begins on the 19th of this month, December, this game will be 25% off. All right, let's jump right into it, starting with the ever so popular topic of summons. So by popular demand, summons are returning to the game, but with even more features than before. Now, this is still very much a work in progress, and as you can see, I'm currently in the gameplay testing arena, but if I go ahead and call in my skeleton minion right here, holding down the cast button, if I then just click the cast button, doing a light cast, so just one quick click, but aim that click over a particular opponent, it's going to tell my skeleton minion to go attack that particular opponent. I don't think he's going to last long against the Strawfather, but let's see how this turns out. Get him, buddy. Oh man. Summons have also been updated to be a simpler mechanic, and each summon will now temporarily hold a fragment of your mana. So I have one skeleton minion out right now, and take a look at my mana bar. If I call in another skeleton, you'll notice that goes down a little bit more. So the more max mana that you have, the more that you'll be able to summon. And what this does is it prevents summon spamming, and it also allows the casting of other spells. This could change in the future, but let the devs know what you think about this. Moving on to two really cool topics, player housing and farming. So starting with player housing, I'm currently in Act 1 of the game in this cute little fishing village. And you'll notice that this house right here has a sign posted outside of it. And if we click on the sign, it says wooden villa for sale for 20,000 gold. Now, I'm just a poor boy, but the devs have given me some cheat codes, so of course I took advantage of those. And we're going to purchase this first prototype of a house for 20,000 gold and head on in. And once inside, if we walk up to this workbench right here, we can enter into decor mode, which allows us to replace furniture. Now, this is still very much a work in progress, but if I click on this bed right here, you'll notice I can change it to a different type of bed. And then this cabinet over here, we can also change that as well. Now, future improvements that will come as time goes on will include hover previews and also more furniture options. Back to the gameplay testing arena, as farming isn't quite ready to be shown off in the world just yet, you'll notice a planting bed right here. And if I have some seeds on my character, I can plant some seeds. So the burdock seed right here has a required space of 1x4. I'm going to go ahead and plant one, and it has a growth time of 36 hours. So after 36 hours, I can come back here and actually harvest this plant. All right, let's talk a little bit about shrines now. So a few new points of interest have been added to the open world called shrines. We have Shrines of the Wilds, which have depictions of certain animals and offer items related to these animals that give one-time boosts to XP, proficiencies, and more. There's druidic shrines that you may come across, which allow you to constantly feed them with animal-based crafting components in exchange for small XP boosts. There are memorial shrines, which are statues of various legendary warriors that are scattered throughout the open world, and interacting with these statues will give boosts to certain proficiencies. And then we also have Stagfather shrines, which you are seeing my character approach one of these right now. Stagfather shrines will unlock special events that start a timer to where you need to hunt down animals within the time limit in order to receive the shrine's gift, and these gifts can include gaining a skill point. All right, now I want to show you guys a really neat feature, an item that's been added to the game, and I just bought a sketchbook from this vendor right here, and if I pull out the sketchbook, we can actually draw anything that we're looking at in the environment. So we have a picture of the keep right now, and if I walk up here closer to the vendor, now we drew a picture of the vendor at his station, and if I go into my bag, we can actually look at these pictures. In a way, this is like the game's own photo mode, but you could also use it to take notes in a way. If you come up to a really cool cave or maybe something that you're trying to figure out, you can draw a picture of it and you'll have a note in your inventory letting you know that you need to return to said area. Moving on to some of the creatures of this dark world and what is being done to them. So right now you're looking at some of the new idle animations for a few creatures that are in the game. The red cap creature on the top is smashing some fish into the ground, reminded me a bit of our buddy Smeagol. Several new variants of creatures have been added to the game so that they'll differ between regions, and some of the new variants include shargs in the first act, which you're looking at right now, as well as shargs in the third act of the game. We have a corpse eater variant for the second act. Red cap variants for the second and third acts have been added. And the Grindilo has a new variant in the second act of the game. And check out this new creepy creature. Now last month I did talk about some new creatures that were added to the game called bone masks, and there are several variants of these creatures. Wow, there's a lot of them right now. We have the melee version, the ranged version, and the mage version. And if I go ahead and kill one of these melee creatures, I'm going to use cheat codes because it's fun. Let's see what the shamans actually do right here. And they are actually resurrecting their melee friends here, and I am actually getting destroyed by these bone masks. All right, on to Fashion Grail, and then we'll talk a little bit about UI. Take a look at the Skeleton Premium Armor Set, the Bull Rat Set, and the Dryad set, although I'm missing a couple pieces for a few of these, but they're super cool. All three of those are armor sets you'll find on some enemies in the game. There's also over 18 new armor variants. Moving on to UI improvements, items are now categorized. So when you have a lot of items in your bag section, if I click on the weapons category, for example, you can see that items are now organized into their own categories: one-handed, two-handed, ranged, arrows, etc. The devs say that this system will soon be applied to all other inventory screens and will be further refined with time. As far as the equipment display goes, the equipment slots have been organized in a more intuitive way, and category artworks have been added for character progression and handcrafting and crafting. For this next section, we'll be heading into the Chapter 2 area of the game, which brings us into the Kunacht area. But to avoid spoilers, I'm not going to show everything that I'm talking about here. I'm just going to kind of run around in the area a little bit. 15 plus new quests so far have been added to Chapter 2, many of which are still being heavily worked on, but this area is definitely getting some love. 5 to 7 new dungeons have been added, and several previously unavailable interior areas are now accessible, with more to come. Quick spoiler warning though, I'm just going to show you the entrance to a dungeon. Close your eyes if you don't want to see it. It's only going to be a few seconds. I will tell you when you can open them back up. What you guys are looking at right now is the entrance to the Abyss of Sagramore dungeon. Pretty hype, right? All right, you can open your eyes. Moving on, a rather small change. We have a new lockpicking model. It still functions the same as it did before, but as you can see, the visuals have been upgraded. And talking a bit about some balancing changes, the devs felt like bows were nerfed a little bit too much before, so the bows have been fixed. And also there's just been some balancing passes for the entire game, especially the Kunacht region, which is the region that you're looking at right now. And for the final section of this monthly development update, let's talk a little bit about NPC improvements. So across the board, NPCs are looking better now. Their faces, their hair, their beards, everything has received a pass. There's still some work to be done, but definitely some improvements in this category. And also there has been improvements in NPC animation. So there's more natural movement now. NPCs will turn more naturally when you approach them. The way that an NPC rotates towards you is less robotic now and more natural. The first iteration of this system is now working, but the devs do plan to refine this further. And there's also more and better dynamic reactions in the game now. For example, enemies will respond faster when interrupted during simple interactions. So before, when you attacked an NPC that was sitting down, for example, it would take them a really long time to stand up and draw their weapons and notice you, and it was really unnatural and kind of immersion breaking. Now a system has been implemented that handles these interruptions much better. It makes the experience much more realistic and immersive. Like with the more natural movements, this is the first iteration of what the devs are working on here, but they are pleased with the progress that they are making. And lastly, in this category, we are told that enemies will move their lips and show facial reactions in combat. So they're working out a lot with the NPCs. And that's going to be it for this month's development update. If you missed the previous month, which was jam-packed with all sorts of interesting updates, I'll leave a link below, and of course be on the lookout for next month's update. As stated in the intro, if you want to check out the early access for Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, the Steam Winter Sale will have this game at 25% off. I'll catch you all on the next one.